All right, all right, all right. Welcome to this episode of Warrior Week Parables from the Pit. My co-host today is none but my mi amigo está, Coach Jesse. Welcome to the show, brother.
Gracias,
All right.
Coach Sam.
Yes. So, gentlemen, we are talking about money today. We are talking about a specific relationship about men and money. And that relationship is the world need. The need relationship that exists between man and money. So we're going to cover that. Sit back, relax, and enjoy this episode.
That's who you are!
Okay, man. So we're gonna hand it off right out of the gate to Coach Jesse. Coach Jesse, this week you had a couple conversations with the guys inside of the game, and the topic of money kept showing up, and the topic of just neediness for fucking money kept showing up. So why don't you tell us just a little bit background on what that conversation was, and inside of that, what are some of the learnings that is taking place?
Yeah, so I jumped on a couple of one-on-one hot seats, coaching calls with guys, and it was all centered around this need for money, where it was like, hey, I'm out of money. I need money. And, you know, as we began to talk about this more and more, like I got triggered at first because it was this conversation of like, hey, like, dude, you're supposed to solve this fucking problem for me because I need money fucking now. And as I got triggered by this, I had to step back out of it and say, okay, what does this guy, what is the real problem with this guy? Not the problem of money. It's like, what is the real problem with this guy that he hasn't addressed? Because a lot of times as a coach, we want to coach the problem and not the person. And you can't come up with a solution by coaching the problem. You have to coach the person and the behavior. So I drew out and we started like breaking down what was this guy's actual behavior that's caused him to believe that he needs money. And as we started to discover what this was, it was the fact we got to these facts of he hadn't been doing anything. He hadn't been doing any of the work. He hadn't been doing, you know, just basic, you know, sales conversations, leads. He had leads. They were coming in. There was like 130 leads that this guy had. He hadn't called on one. And I actually at one point said, man, like, do you realize that you've let 130 potential customers like just go right through your system and you've done nothing about it? And so the conversation shifted from I need money to, you know, focusing on, okay, well, what's the behavior?
Yeah.
And so we started to break this down. But I think, you know, in what we're doing as a coach, what we're doing as trainers, we want to solve problems. And neediness becomes like a red flag. It becomes a big issue because a guy is coming into this conversation almost like putting us into the position as a savior right off the bat. So, you know, I really had to like slow down because I immediately found myself getting triggered, but I immediately went to, okay, I got to solve this problem.
Yeah.
Instead of, no, I got to figure out this guy's fucking behavior.
Yeah. I think we're talking about the same guy. So let me tell you, and then you can tell me. Last week I got a text from one of the wives of our guys, and she says like, hey man, like we have nothing. Like we have nothing. Like we sold the house, he sold the car, he sold the 2 bicycles. Like right now, like he sold everything, and now we have nothing. And so I don't know what to do. And like, so immediately I was also fucking triggered by the guy because, you know, the guy told me a bunch of shit that he's going to do. And so I'm like, okay, well, it appears that you're still at the same fucking spot when we had conversations. So that was my initial trigger. But despite that, I called him and said, hey, man, you need to call me right away. And an hour later, we get on the phone, and I found out the following pattern and behavior. The fucking guy has done everything but fucking working. Like every fucking thing possible. selling the house, burning the money in a year, then being in a corner, selling the car. $24,000 specifically. Sold the car, burned the fucking money, sold the bicycle, sold the second bicycle. And I'm like sitting there and I'm like, listen, I felt the same thing. I felt like, dude, like I'm getting a needy fucking energy here. Like, and you're pulling me into this shit. So I'm like, listen, bro, like, what are your skills? He goes, well, I'm good in sales. I go, okay, well, how come you're not going and knocking at the door and fucking selling cars, used cars, brand new cars, selling paper, selling gum, selling something? I can guarantee you in the next 3 days, if you knock at doors for the next 3 days, you'll find a position by selling, even if it's selling on commission. Even if they don't pay you shit and you're good in selling, you still make some money. Or I give him the bottom line. I said, dude, you're not even doing fucking Uber. Like, dude, you're not even fucking cleaning toilets. Because if you fucking clean toilets right now, you can still make $15 an hour, $10 an hour, whatever the fuck is. And by the end of today, you would have made $100. And by the end of this week, you would have 500. But you're not even doing that. You're not doing that. And so my message to him was like, you need to go out and find a sale opportunity in the next 3 days and text me back. He never texts me back. And obviously he comes in crying. I know it's the same motherfucker. Comes in and crying.
Well, let's back up. I got a message before I went on vacation that was like, hey, Coach Jesse, can I have a conversation with you and can I talk to you? I got an emergency. And I'm like, yeah, what's going on? So he gave me this fucking laundry list of problems that he had that had nothing to do with money, but it was all the excuses of why he wasn't fucking making money. And so I'm like, listen, man, like, I'm not a fucking doctor. I can't fucking diagnose you. I can't tell you what pill to take or not to take. But what I can tell you is this. You want fucking energy, you better start fucking moving.
Yes.
Because movement is the only thing that creates energy, and someone in a place of need has stopped fucking moving.
Yep.
And at the end of the day, think about this. I need money. I need to lose weight. They're all the fucking same.
Yep.
The person saying I need to lose weight, are they moving or not moving?
Yep.
They're fucking not moving. And the person who needs to go on a vacation, guess what they're doing? They're not fucking doing anything. So this neediness is a paralyzation, and it becomes our actual own reality of not doing anything.
Yeah, the need kind of fucking paralyzes you, and it paralyzes the movement. And once the movement is paralyzed, there you go. Like, fuck hope.
Yeah.
Like the only thing you have left in non-movement is hope. And guess what? Hope fucking dies after a while. And hope is definitely not a fucking strategy. So if you don't have hope, and if you don't have movement, you don't have fucking life. You don't. You don't move.
You get depressed.
You don't move. You're going to hope. You're going to hope. You're going to hope. You're going to hope. And after a while, hope dies. And guess what happens? Nothing. So yeah, you're right. You're not a doctor. But I told him, listen, motherfucker, I'm a fucking doctor. And I'm going to tell you the following. Take a fucking pill, and it says, when I take this pill, I'm going to work. Take the I'm going to fucking work pill. Go fucking work. Scrub some fucking bathroom. Clean cars. Car wash. Sell some fucking lemonade. You haven't fucking done anything. But reaching out for what?
Help.
But what is help?
Help is the fucking victim reaching out to be saved. So he doesn't have to actually fucking do the work. So let's go back into this same thing. Well, you don't understand, Coach Sam. I don't have energy. I'm fucking depressed. I'm this. I'm that.
I remember that.
Dude, so I said, fuck you and your fucking doctor. Fuck you and your doctor who told you you were depressed.
Especially the doctor.
So here's the reality of all this. I would be fucking depressed too if I wasn't moving where I knew I must go to do what was fucking required to make the money.
The end.
Yeah, it would be fucking really depressing.
I would be fucking depressed if I have a pregnant wife and if I have a child, 2-year-old child, and I'm not doing anything based on my fucking list of excuses. Now listen, some of it, physically and all that shit. Listen, I'm not a fucking doctor. I don't know what's going on. But at the end of the day, here's what I know. Even if I was like physically ill, knowing that I have to bring food on the table for my pregnant wife and my kids, I would work in my fucking illness. You would do the same. So, like, what is it that stops a man? Because, like, we're not here to bash this guy, right? He's
Dude,
a brother.
it's a fucking
what is it?
mindset
What's fucking
and
behavior?
a fucking skill set behavior of being a victim. And it's not like, it's the same thing I told him, and I want people to understand this, is like, this isn't about him, it's about you. Because you're a victim in your life in one area or another. And you have the same pattern of behavior, you have the same mindset inside of you when you come to a roadblock and you're like, I can't or I need. And when you get to this place is you're no longer able to solve the problem at that level. You have to go above it. Otherwise, you stay stuck in it. And so the thing we started to discuss was every situation in his life when he would get backed up into a corner like this, he would get stressed out.
Yeah.
And the stress would immediately trigger depression. It would immediately start triggering all these feelings and emotions that would come up, and it would get him to this place of, I don't have energy. Then he would immediately start blaming all his conditions.
Yeah, it's a system.
Like, dude, I've heard this for fucking 20 years in the gym industry. People come in, hey, I need to lose weight. Well, that's great, but are you willing to actually fucking do the work to do that? Well, you know what? My doctor said I have low thyroid. They said I have, fucked up hormones. They said I have this, but are you actually working out? No, I'm not. My doctor told me not to. It's like, what the fuck? You can't move? So this comes back to these patterns and behaviors we're taught as kids. Like, this traced all the way back to this guy's childhood, where he began to eat food for comfort. And that's where he found this energy or this false sensation or false lift. And there was a person in his life who actually taught him this.
Mm-hmm.
And it was his mom.
Mm-hmm.
And so we traced this all the way back. And still to this day, as a fucking adult, guess who comes and saves him? Mom.
Okay, so he's a mama's boy. Got it. That seems okay. Got it. So let's just look at it. Dude, you're a mama's boy. Okay. Let me repeat that again. If you're hearing this, and it's know that you know exactly it's you if you're hearing this. Like, you better fucking listen to some of these too. And if you're hearing this, is raw and straight, bro, you're a mama's boy. But here's the reality, bro. And we talked about this earlier, is that the number of the collection of your fucking behavior has built your fucking roadblocks right now to where you want to be, which is ultimately just making a little bit of money. We talked about this, right?
Yeah.
Just like an hour ago when we created the link between behaviors and roadblocks. Like, where are roadblocks coming in? Well, roadblocks are linked to a series of synchronized fucking habit of yours that have actually created the roadblocks, but also to some extent, motherfucker, you're worshiping the roadblocks. Like, if you don't love them and if you don't like them, then they won't be on the way. You kind of like worshiping. Like, there's a liar in you that says, I want something, but then you worship the roadblock and you remain.
Well, here's where the roadblock is they don't say they want something, they say they need something. And so that need becomes the roadblock.
Yes.
Because when there's a roadblock, you have a choice. You go around it, you go through it, and when you need something, you stop at it and you sit there and fucking stare at it and you say, I need this.
And I hope that this roadblocks goes away.
Yeah, I need to get through this. But if I say I want to get through this, then that gets me to change my behavior. It gets me to change my mindset and think, okay, there's another way around this. There's either going over it or going around it or going through it. So it gives me options. Want gives me options. Need gives me nothing other than just staying where I'm at.
Needs it's an anchor to remain
The same.
where you are. Remain the same. So as long as you use this terminology, need in any fucking context, is that you're actually putting the anchor to stay exactly where you are. So, I mean, we talked about this, but really, what is this need that comes into place between men and money, right? Do we need to make money or do we want to make money? Or there's another word that comes in and now changes the pattern inside of this, right? It's I have to, right? So there's I want to and I have to. And so in I have to, I want to becomes now that like it gets a sense of urgency involved. So now it becomes a must now. I have to, it's a must now. Dude, I have to get some fucking money. Not I like in his case, he's in I need to. Like motherfucker, you don't even need to be at I want to. Like I don't give a fuck what you want. Right now is I have to bring food on the table for my wife and my kids. He look at the spectrum of his patterns, right? He's in I need to, but he must be at I have to.
Right. Or I'm willing to.
So what does it take a man to shift? Because that's the conversation today. How do you shift from I need to I have to? Like in this particular case, what do you think it takes for him to move to I have to? Because that's where it needs to be.
Well, we got to change your fucking behaviors, number one. We got to look at your patterns. We got to look at a lot of shit and break it down and just say, listen, man, you have no choice but to go fucking make money. So what is the simplest thing or a number one action you could take right now that gets you one step closer to having that money?
That's it. I have to, which means if your wife would have a fucking gun on her head and somebody would say, motherfucker, you go work, I'm going to fucking pull the trigger. Would you stand there and say you need money, or you would be there and say, I have to fucking work and I have to make some money?
Yeah, you'd say I have to. It's like fucking somebody pulling out in front of your kids on the street, and you have to go get them.
You have to.
Right now.
You don't need to. You don't want to. You have to.
Yeah, it's not a choice.
Not at all. And sometimes the shift is required for a man to move from definitely need, but want is the place that you want to be. Because like when you go to have, it's because there's a sense of urgency that kicked in. Because you haven't really hanged out in I want that often. So guys will go from one extreme to another one, from need to have. But the majority of men will not hang out in the area of I want. This is what I want. I'm going to go get what I want. It's like I have to get what I must get, or I need this shit.
Need becomes a victim of your current reality. This is one of the things we talked about earlier today, was just thinking of like, if I need something, like I'm so fucking desperate that I'm not even willing to look at the current facts. I'm willing to just sit in my fucking stories.
Yes.
And excuses.
Yes.
So I can just put the blinders over and not fucking see anything.
You don't want to.
Right.
You're like a fucking toddler.
But when I say I want or I have to change the way that I ask the question. And when I ask the question at a different level, I start getting a different answer. And this answer leads me to what I want or what I have to have at that current moment. Like, think of a time in your life when you've had to have something. You were willing to do whatever it fucking took, whether it was good for you or bad for you, but you just had to do it. It was like a drug.
Yeah.
You would always find a way to make it happen.
Correct.
But here's what I know. When you have been trained your whole life to be fucking saved by your mom, by your dad, or by other people, that neediness is trained in you from a young age because your parents taught you
to need
that you could always come back and be saved. Your parents taught you to fucking be needy because in a sense that fulfilled them.
Yes.
And this is one of the things that I see a lot even, nowadays, is like we're seeing grown-ass men, 30, 40, 50 years old, coming back to mommy and daddy to save them, and it's not, they don't know any different. The parents don't know any different.
Yeah.
And so even this affects actually the generation like our kids.
Yeah, dude, for sure.
Because the way that we train our kids is the way that they turned out. And so this pattern was actually a trained behavior from a very, very early age, and it's still fucking playing out today. Like, I can remember the last time I moved out of my parents' house.
Yeah.
I think I was 22. After I'd moved back home like 3-4 different times for short periods. I remember a conversation with my mom, and like I can see my mom, I can see my dad in this conversation, and they say something very simple. You're not moving back home this time.
Mm-hmm.
You move out, you're not coming back. You can come back to visit. You can come back to stay the night, stay a couple days, but you're not coming back home to live.
Mm.
And so that conversation still stuck with me today. So guess what? If I really like had to have something, I could call my parents and I'm sure they would do something.
Yeah.
But they're not going to let me fucking move back home.
Mm.
And so that conversation made me say, okay, listen, like that's not even an option anymore.
Yep.
Okay. I'm a fucking grown ass man. I got to figure it out on my own.
Yep. And that's the attitude. That's the attitude that is required when you're, like, when you talk about behaviors and patterns, like, to your point, this goes back a while, man. And how you, like, and you, when you think about your parents and your mom and dad, it's not really their fucking fault, because as they were helping you in their needs, they were getting fulfilled by providing a service. And like, this is a generational loop that's been going on. And here, in this conversation of the warrior, and inside of this conversation is where these loops break, where these patterns are stopped. And that's what warrior is. The warrior is a pattern interrupter. And today, inside of this conversation, we interrupt this pattern. And for me and Jesse, inside of this, the most important part of this is we are aware of this when we are raising our son, like our kids. We are aware of this. Like, yes, there's a fine line between fucking making him needy and as well as between, like, just support. Like, there's support, and then there's support and need. There's help and assist. Fuck help. We assist. Because if you don't assist your kids, then they won't be part of the solution. They'll always look on the outside for help. Give me a hand. And guess what? In the middle of the night, when they have to fucking walk alone, they're always going to look for a hand that's going to hold them. And here at Warrior, men walk in the middle of the night without asking any other fucking men for a hand. And it's not a conversation of being tough or not. It's simply a conversation. It's an attitude. It's a learning process. It's unlearning a bunch of shit that was just taught to us and how we should operate. It's the tactics and the teaching that we have for the new generation, our families, our kids. That's the balance between the conversation of warrior and the men that are inside of that. So the guy that came in this conversation, like, he reached out. But at the end of the day, he wanted somebody to assist him. He labeled it as help. He labels it as a need. And then he recognized that assistance is here. Association is here. Access is here to this association. And acceleration of results is what fucking matters. Because at the end of the day, if he's still sitting home, not doing anything and listening to this podcast, then like none of this shit actually fucking matters. None of this matters. So ask yourself at home, like, where you at? Or like, where you at? Are you in an I need situation? Are you in an I want situation? Or are you in an I have situation? I have to situation. Whatever situation you're in, assess where you are and assess what this need is. And really, truly see if you can transition to want. And if it's too late to transition to want, then what can you transition to? I have to. Because at this point, it appears that it's a fucking must. So we'll come back here every week discussing this type of point here inside of the Parables of Warrior Week. I want to thank my guest, Jesse, here on the show. Jesse will be here often with me discussing these topics as we bring in the real pit of men living situation just like the one we talked about. And if this is a situation that you're in, like, brother, like, you need to listen to this podcast one more time. And there's an action item here for you. And if you need further assistance, then you can come to Warrior inside of King's Kit or inside of Warrior Week, or all the experiences that we have. You can find more information on www.kingskid.com, www.warriorweek.com, and there is a venue, there's a place for you to fall here if you resonate with this message. Gentlemen, have yourself a fantastic week.